My girlfriend and my best friend slept with each other in my apartment while I was in the next room. I don't even know where to start. I've been staring at this blank screen for like 20 minutes now because typing it out makes it real, you know. But I need to get this out of my head before I lose my mind completely. I'm Anthony, 21, live in a small town in Oregon. Work part-time at a warehouse while taking classes at community college. I've dealt with depression and anxiety for years, and I've always been the type to blame myself when things go wrong. That's probably important context for what I'm about to tell you. Alexa and I have been together for 3 years. We started dating when I was 19, and for the first year and a half, she was everything I ever wanted. Affectionate, attentive, always initiating dates and conversations. She'd show up at my place with food when I was having a bad mental health day. She'd text me good morning and good night without fail. She made me feel like I actually mattered to someone. But somewhere around the halfway mark, things started shifting. It was gradual enough that I kept making excuses. She stopped texting first. Date nights became once a week, then maybe once every 2 weeks if I pushed for it. Physical intimacy basically disappeared. Every time I tried to bring it up, she'd say she was stressed with work, or tired, or just not in the mood. And I'd back off because the last thing I wanted was to be that controlling boyfriend who pressures his girlfriend. I figured it was me. My depression makes me exhausting to be around sometimes. I'm not exactly the most exciting person. So I told myself I needed to be more understanding, more patient, more grateful that she was even still with me. God, I was so stupid. My best friend Elliot and I go back to high school. We were the kind of friends who told each other everything, or at least I thought we were. Same friend group, same hangout spots, same sense of humor. When I started dating Alexa, he was happy for me. When I was going through rough patches, he'd check in. He was my brother in every way that mattered. His 22nd birthday was last Saturday. The plan was to throw a party at my apartment since I've got the biggest space and no roommates. About 20 people showed up, music was loud, drinks were flowing, normal stuff. Here's where I started noticing things that made my stomach twist. Alexa and Elliot were closer than I'd ever seen them. She was dancing with him and not in a casual way. He had his arms around her from behind at one point, spinning her around, and they were both laughing like they were in their own little world. When she went to get a drink, he followed. When he sat down, she sat next to him instead of next to me. I told myself I was being paranoid. They've known each other for years through me. They're friends. People get touchy when they're drinking. I didn't want to be the jealous boyfriend who makes a scene at his best friend's birthday party over nothing. So I swallowed it down and kept refilling my cup. By midnight, most people had left. It was just me, Alexa, and Elliot in the living room, talking and laughing about random stuff. I set up a mattress on the floor for Elliot since he was too drunk to drive. Alexa said she'd come to bed soon, just wanted to help clean up a bit first. I was exhausted, so I went to my bedroom alone. I don't know what time it was when I woke up, maybe 3 or 4 a.m. I had to use the bathroom, which is at the end of the hallway past the living room. I noticed Alexa still wasn't in bed, which was weird, but I was too fogged with sleep to fully register it. I stepped out into the hallway, and I heard it. The sounds, the breathing. The rhythmic creaking of that mattress I'd set up for my best friend. My body went cold. I took a few more steps, just enough to see around the corner into the living room, and there they were. Alexa and Elliot on the mattress, in my apartment, while I was 20 feet away. I don't remember walking back to my room. I don't remember getting into bed. I just remember lying there, shaking and feeling like someone had reached into my chest and ripped out everything that made me human. I didn't sleep. I just lay there until morning, replaying it over and over, wondering if I'd somehow hallucinated the whole thing. Maybe I was still drunk. Maybe it was a nightmare. Maybe I was finally losing my grip on reality completely. When the sun came up, I heard Elliot get up, take a quick shower, mumble something about being hungover, and leave. A few minutes later, Alexa slipped into bed next to me. She curled up against my back, kissed my shoulder, and settled in, thinking I was still asleep. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw up. I wanted to disappear. Instead, I stayed still and stared at the wall. When she was deep in sleep, I got up, went to the bathroom, and threw up. Then I made this throwaway account. I don't know what to do. Part of me still can't believe what I saw. Part of me wants to pretend it didn't happen because confronting it means losing everything. Part of me is terrified because Alexa has some private photos of me, and I'm scared of what she might do with them if things go bad. How do I even bring this up? How do you process being betrayed by the two people you trusted most in the world? I feel so alone right now. Edit. I just want to say thank you to everyone who's commented so far. A lot of you are telling me to get evidence before confronting her, and that makes sense. Some of you mentioned the revenge porn thing and suggested I try to delete those photos first. You're right, I need to protect myself. Update 1. Hey everyone. It's been about 36 hours since my original post, and a lot has happened. I want to thank everyone who commented and sent messages. Reading through everything helped me realize I needed to stop making excuses for people who clearly don't deserve them. So here's what went down. After I posted, I spent the rest of that morning in a fog. Alexa woke up around noon, completely normal, like nothing had happened. She made coffee, scrolled through her phone, asked me what I wanted to do for the day. Every word out of her mouth made me want to scream, but I held it together. Several comments mentioned that I should try to get evidence before confronting her. Screenshots of texts, anything that could prove this wasn't just a one-time drunken mistake, but something they'd planned. So I waited for my opportunity. It came in the afternoon. Alexa went to take a shower, and she left her phone on the kitchen counter. She knows I'm broke and my phone plan sucks, so when I said I needed to text my mom real quick because my data was out, she didn't think twice about it. The first thing I did was go to her photos. I found the folder where she'd saved my private pictures and deleted every single one, then deleted them from the recently deleted folder too. I don't know if there are backups somewhere, but at least they're not on her phone anymore. That was priority number 1. Then I opened her messages with Elliot. What I found made me sick. It wasn't just that night. The messages went back months. There were texts about how they couldn't help the chemistry between them, how they needed to be more careful around me, how they should find more opportunities to be alone together. One message from Elliot said he couldn't stop thinking about her since that night at Marcus's place, which was a party we all attended back in July. That's 5 months ago. There were texts from the week before Elliot's birthday where they explicitly planned to make something happen at the party. They knew I'd be tired. They knew I'd go to bed early. They planned to wait until I was asleep. I screenshotted everything. Sent it all to my email. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely type. When Alexa got out of the shower, I was sitting on the couch. I don't even know how I looked, but she immediately knew something was wrong. She asked if I was okay, and I just said, "We need to talk." I told her I woke up last night. I told her I saw everything. The first thing out of her mouth was denial. "What are you talking about? I would never do that." "You must have been dreaming, babe. You were pretty drunk." She said it with this confused, almost concerned expression like I was the one who needed help. I said I had screenshots of her messages with Elliot. Then she tried a different angle. "Someone must have hacked my phone. Those messages aren't real. I don't know how that happened, but I would never." I just stared at her. I couldn't even respond to that. It was so absurd, so desperate. That's when the tears started. She sat down next to me, grabbed my hands, and the whole persona shifted. Suddenly she was crying, saying she loved me, that I was the love of her life, that what happened with Elliot was a moment of weakness that she'd regretted immediately. She said she hadn't felt a spark with me lately, that she'd been confused, but that she didn't want to lose me. She begged for another chance. She said she'd cut Elliot off completely, that she'd do anything to make this right. Part of me, the part that had loved her for 3 years, wanted to believe her, wanted to think we could somehow come back from this. That part of me is still in there somewhere, and I hate it. But I kept thinking about the messages. They weren't talking about a drunken mistake. They were talking about how to sneak around behind my back. They were excited about it. They were planning for more. I told her I needed her to leave. She didn't want to go. She said she couldn't find her car keys, which I knew was bull because they were in her purse where they always are. She asked if she could wait for a friend to pick her up. She tried everything to extend the conversation, to have more time to convince me. But I held the line. I told her I needed to be alone. She eventually found her keys and left, still crying, still telling me she loved me. The moment the door closed, I collapsed. I called my mom and told her everything. She wanted to drive up immediately, and honestly, I didn't have the strength to say no. She's been here since last night making sure I eat. But here's where it gets even more twisted. A few hours after Alexa left, I got a text from Elliot. Not an apology for what he did to his best friend. No. Instead, he sent me this long message about how what he and Alexa have is real, how they didn't mean for it to happen this way, and how he hopes I can eventually accept them as a couple, and that we can still be friends someday. Are you kidding me? So Alexa's crying to me about how I'm the love of her life and she wants to work things out, while Elliot's texting me like they're already in a committed relationship, and I just need to get on board. They're both just saying whatever benefits them in the moment. Alexa wants to keep me as a backup in case things with Elliot don't work out. Elliot wants to keep me as a friend so he doesn't have to feel like the bad guy. Neither of them actually cares about me. I'm just a piece on their chessboard. I haven't responded to either of them. I've just been sitting here with my mom, reading your comments and trying to figure out my next steps. Some people in the comments are telling me to expose them to each other, send Alexa Elliot's "we're a real couple" message, and send Elliot Alexa's "I want to work things out" texts. Part of me thinks that's petty. But part of me thinks they deserve to see exactly who they're getting into bed with, literally. I'll update again when I've made a decision. Thank you all again. Knowing strangers on the internet have my back when my own girlfriend and best friend didn't. It means more than I can say. Update 2. It's been about a week since my last update. I've had time to think and I've made my decisions. First, the message swap. I talked to my mom about it for a while. She pointed out that I don't owe either of them any protection anymore, and that if they're going to play games, they should at least know what game the other person is playing. So I did it. I sent Elliot the screenshots of Alexa crying about how I'm the love of her life, and she'll cut him off completely to save our relationship. And I sent Alexa the screenshots of Elliot's message about how their love is real and he hopes I'll accept them as a couple. The reactions were interesting. Elliot went completely silent. Read receipt on, no response, nothing. I imagine he wasn't thrilled to find out his soulmate was actively trying to keep her options open. Alexa's response was more predictable. At first, nothing. Then, about an hour later, a flood of texts. She tried to spin it, of course. Said Elliot must have misunderstood her signals, that she never told him they were together, that she was just as blindsided by his message as I was. She actually tried to make herself the victim, like we'd both been manipulated by Elliot and we should team up against him. I read the messages and almost laughed. Almost. Because it would be funny if it wasn't so pathetic. She really thought I was stupid enough to believe that she accidentally fell onto my best friend's body multiple times over the course of 5 months. I didn't respond. What would be the point? Instead, I focused on logistics. I boxed up every single thing Alexa had ever left at my apartment. I was surprised by how much of her had crept into my space over 3 years. It took 2 boxes and a trash bag. I sent her one final text. Your belongings are boxed and by my front door. If they're not collected within 3 days, I'm donating everything. Please don't contact me after this. Then I went through all our shared accounts. She was on my Netflix, which I removed her from. She'd been getting some mail delivered to my address, so I set up a redirect to have anything with her name returned to sender. I changed every password she might have known, enabled 2-factor authentication on everything. After I sent that last message, I blocked Alexa's number. Blocked her on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, everything. The only way she can contact me now is through email, and that's only there in case there's some legal issue that needs to be addressed. Elliot got the same treatment. Blocked everywhere. I didn't even give him a final message. He didn't deserve one. Now, about the friend group. I've known most of these people since high school. Elliot was the center of a lot of our social circle, and Alexa had integrated herself into it over the years. I knew things were going to get complicated once word got out. I talked to two of my closest friends from the group separately, Jake and Marcus. I kept it simple. Told them what happened, showed them enough evidence to prove I wasn't making it up, and said I wasn't asking anyone to pick sides, but that I wouldn't be attending any hangouts where Elliot or Alexa were present for the foreseeable future. Both of them were shocked. Jake literally said, "What the F?" about 4 times in a row. Marcus kept shaking his head like he couldn't process it. Neither of them had any idea, which makes me feel a little better. At least it wasn't like everyone knew except me. They both said they'd support whatever I needed. I told them I wasn't trying to start a war or make people choose. I just needed some space from the situation. They understood. Over the next few days, word spread. A few people reached out to check on me. A couple of others went quiet, which probably means they're trying to stay neutral. And apparently, a few people have started distancing themselves from Elliot and Alexa on their own. From what I've heard secondhand, the reaction in the group hasn't been great for them. Sleeping with your best friend's girlfriend in his own apartment while he's in the next room isn't exactly something that makes people trust you. Even if no one's explicitly taking sides, nobody's looking at them the same way either. As for me, I've been spending a lot of time with my mom and the friends who reached out. It's quiet. It's weird. I've been going to work, going to class, trying to maintain some normalcy. Some days are better than others. I've also started looking into therapy. My mom helped me find some options that work with my budget and schedule. I think I need to talk to someone professional about all of this, not just the cheating, but the way I let myself be treated. The patterns I don't want to repeat. One more thing. I sent a formal email to Alexa's personal account, explicitly requesting that she delete any and all intimate photos or videos of me that she might have. I stated that distribution of such materials without consent is illegal under Oregon law and that I would pursue legal action if necessary. If anything ever surfaces, I have documentation that I explicitly revoked consent. I don't know if she'll actually delete them, but I've done everything I can to protect myself, and I'm not going to let fear of what she might do control me anymore. Final update. Hey everyone. It's been about 3 months since everything went down, and I figured I owed you all a proper conclusion. The day Alexa came to get her stuff was harder than I expected. I'd planned it so I'd be at work, and my mom would be at my apartment just in case. My mom called me on my lunch break. Apparently, Alexa had loaded everything into her car just fine, but then she came back to the door and rang the bell. When my mom answered, Alexa was standing there with tears streaming down her face, asking if she could please just talk to me for 5 minutes. My mom, bless her, didn't budge. She stood in the doorway, blocked the entrance, and told Alexa directly, "You've caused enough pain. It's time to go." Alexa kept trying. She said she just needed closure. She said she needed me to understand her side. She even tried to step forward like she was going to push past, but my mom held her ground. Eventually, Alexa gave up and went back to her car. I heard later from my mom that Alexa sat in her car for about 20 minutes before finally driving away. She could see her through the window, just sitting there, occasionally wiping her face. I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel anything. I was in the break room at work, listening to my mom describe all this over the phone, and I had to step outside to breathe. 3 years is a long time. Even when someone betrays you completely, there's still grief for the person you thought they were. But I didn't call her. I didn't text. I let her drive away, and that was that. So here's where everyone ended up. Alexa and Elliot are officially together now. They made it public on social media within about 2 weeks of everything blowing up, which honestly made me laugh in a bitter kind of way. After all that crying and begging, they couldn't even pretend to care about appearances. But from what mutual friends have told me, it's not going great. Apparently, Elliot's already been caught texting other girls in ways that Alexa doesn't appreciate. There have been public arguments at parties. Someone told me Alexa's been complaining that he's not as attentive as she expected, and that she's not sure she can trust him. I mean, no kidding. You started your relationship by cheating together. Trust isn't exactly the foundation you're working with. The friend group has more or less reorganized around the situation. I'm not going to pretend everyone cut Elliot and Alexa off completely. That's not how real life works. Some people still hang out with all of us, just separately. But I've noticed that the invitations to things have shifted. More people reach out to me specifically now. The group chats I'm in are different than they used to be. A few weeks ago, Marcus told me that Elliot complained at a party about how everyone's treating them like villains, and that people should mind their own business. Apparently, he's not enjoying the social consequences as much as he enjoyed sneaking around behind my back. Wild how that works. As for me, I'm doing better. I started therapy about a month after everything happened. I found a guy who specializes in young adults dealing with self-esteem issues, and he's been incredible. We've been unpacking not just the cheating, but why I stayed for so long when things clearly weren't working. Why I blamed myself. Why I thought I deserved less than what I was getting. It turns out my depression and anxiety had convinced me that being treated poorly was just what I should expect. That if someone was willing to be with me at all, I should be grateful, even if they made me miserable. My therapist called it a tolerance for mistreatment, and we've been working on building up my sense of what I actually deserve. I've also been investing more in the relationships that actually matter. My mom and I are closer than we've been in years. Jake and Marcus have been solid. We've been doing weekly game nights, just the three of us, which has been great for feeling less alone. My apartment feels like mine again. I rearranged the living room, bought some new plants. Got a better mattress, actually, because I couldn't stop associating the old one with what happened on it. Small changes, but they add up. I'm not dating anyone, and I'm not looking to. My therapist and I agreed that I should take time to work on myself before even thinking about getting into another relationship. I want to be in a healthier headspace first. I want to understand my worth well enough that I don't settle for someone who treats me like an option. Some days are still hard. I'll hear a song that reminds me of Alexa, or I'll see something that would have made Elliot laugh, and for a moment I miss them. Not who they actually are, but who I thought they were. The version of them I loved. But then I remember what they actually did, how they planned it. How they looked at me afterward like nothing had happened. How Alexa crawled into bed with me like nothing happened after being with him just minutes ago. And the missing feeling fades, replaced by something colder but cleaner. I'm not bitter anymore. At least I'm working on it. Holding on to anger is exhausting, and they're not worth my energy. They made their choices. Now they get to live with them, and I get to move on. To everyone who followed this story, who commented with advice, who sent supportive messages, thank you. Genuinely. When I made that first post, I was shattered. You all helped me see clearly when I couldn't trust my own eyes. This is my last update. The chapter's closed. Whatever comes next, I'm walking into it with my head up and my boundaries intact.